Who are you? I don't know why.
Eddie Chambers.
Oh, you want me to say that?
Yes.
I'm not saying that.
Oh no, I've got
to do it
something for this. Hold on, sis.
You gonna make me
No, this is good, this is good.
Some background music.
Yeah, this is
bit of Rocky.
No, forget Rocky. This is better than Rocky. One second.
Is this a walkout tune?
Better. Oh no, jump on, I'm in.
Classic movie. Super.
I was just wondering, I know I seen, that's why
Love it.
So Max boxing this time, right?
Right, is it coming on?
That's the intro.
Stop. Are you ready? Are you ready? Alright, come on, I'm ready.
Right, loud as Eddie. As loud as you can, buddy. As loud as you want. Right,
This is ready? This is Fast in the Chambers, and you're watching Max Boxing. Oh yeah. Hold
Quality. We can, talk about this in terms of how comfortable you are. You can say what you want about it. The Frank Warren stuff. Obviously, there was a lawsuit, wasn't there? Again,
yeah, it's fine. No, it's fine. Carry on.
Has that all been resolved now? Did you basically speak to him and thankfully it was resolved?
Yeah. To be honest, it was. It's a combination of a few things. That was. People that don't know, we done an interview with Barry Hearn, and it was quite soon after an interview that James had done with Frank Warren, where stuff was mentioned regarding Eddie Hearn, Barry Hearn matchroom. And this wasn't kind of a response to that. It was a video about the changing face of boxing, but there were some references in the interview that Barry done that Frank Warren Promotions were not happy with. So it got removed. There was an issue involving legal action, but it was resolved without it going any further. So there isn't really a lot more to say about that, apart from there was an issue, and it was resolved without any sort of legal action, and we're so it's not. So I'm going to say we're fine, but everything's okay regarding that now.
Yeah, and obviously subsequently you've attended Frank's events and everything's been cool. You've had the access, and so everything's fine.
Everything's fine. It's not, like I said, it was a small issue that got resolved. Not immediately, but it did get resolved. So
yeah,
that was that.
And another, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if this was an issue with someone within the boxing world, but for kind of say a year's period, there was a time when every time you approach Adam Booth for an interview, he'd sort of playfully be like, "Oh, I'm not having an interview with you, Kugan." He'd kind of play it off a little bit. Was there a genuine issue there? Was that just him being jovial?
There's no issue with Adam Booth whatsoever. Nothing.
It was just his way of being playful.
Adam, it was a skit. Still is a skit. It's like a lot of stuff me and Eddie talk about. People need to take it for a pinch of salt. Not everything. Not when he's talking about his fighters and fights and etc. But anything else, take it with a pinch of salt. Same applies to anything with Adam Booth. I talk to Adam quite regularly, actually.
Yeah.
Always have done. Always kept in contact, even when he's had nothing going on or blah blah blah. I've always kept in contact with Adam, and there's nothing there that people really should read too much into.
Fair enough. I suppose that shows. Obviously, we were talking before about your acting. Shows that you're a good actor, because sort of possibly people fall for it.
fair enough. I'm not, like I said, a lot of people think that. A lot of my friends think that there's a lot of whatever with me and Adam, but so it's not. It's fine. It's just the thing me and Adam do.
Yeah. And sort of a while back now, there was kind of a bit of a joke. I think I even tweeted you about it at the time. Yourself and Steve Bunce. I always thought. I think you labelled it. You could have a show called Bunce and Bear. You know, like you could old school meets new school in terms of boxing media. That would be a brilliant collaboration. Is it something we could realistically expect to happen?
I can't remember that actually, but no, Steve's. Do you know what? Steve's one of these people that he's like, he's not set in his ways, but to a certain degree he kind of is with certain things. But he understands the older generation, the older school of boxing, and he's also in touch with the newer side as well. But Steve Bunce is on television, on Box Nation. We're not. So, in some people's eyes, what we do isn't to that sort of standard, if you like, or level, which is true, it's not. We was talking about this earlier, about the move from us now would be to get something, however small it was, on television. So to a certain degree, I'm not saying that's his way of thought, I'm just saying that we had this discussion about what's coverage, and this is how this all really started with Steve Bunce and whatever. But he said that, or tweeted that, it's not what he deems as coverage, which is fair enough. He said he'd rather go to other avenues if he wanted a source of information for boxing, which is fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that if you're into boxing you have to take any notice of anything we do, because it ain't going to be for everyone. So there's boxing fans out there that probably watch it and think, I've been watching an interview where these two are talking about crisps. You know, and I can understand if you're a hardcore boxing fan with a slightly dull sense of humour, shall we say, you're not going to find them things funny. You're just going to be like, why have I watched this? I can understand that. But the market and the audience that watch our people's stuff, the majority of them get all that stuff. It's not because we're sort of trying to milk out interviews. I haven't got to milk out an interview with Eddie Hearn talking about Chris, but do you know what? The best responses we get from interviews with Eddie is sometimes the stuff that's not about boxing. You can take that for what it is, but my interviews with Eddie will always have the basis of topical issues, with a sprinkle of talking absolute mama language bollocks. So I don't know, maybe people like Steve Bunce watch them things and think, what's this? We're talking about low budget hotels, crisps, prostitutes. I'm talking about stuff that we talk about. I'm not talking about we talk about crisps and prostitutes and things. I'm not saying we talk about that stuff, but it's kind of like in the mould of like just boys talk and just, it's our thing. So if I want to talk to Eddie about that, it's different. So yeah, but again, I interviewed Steve Bunce outside York Hall. I watch Steve's stuff. I listen to Steve on the radio, and you know, he's a big personality in boxing. And I think it was just the Twitter thing, and then people tweet him and people tweet me and blah blah blah. It's great, and Steve's had a very successful career at doing what he's doing, and it's, you know, we'd like to be in that sort of position one day. But yeah, it's cool. It's not. But he said to me in the interview I'd done with him, to be honest, that he does watch our stuff. So I took some sort of positives from that. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I personally would love to see the collaboration at some point.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I like it because he's got that sort of
I think you'd have.
Cockney kind of, oh yeah, and I think that if we were doing, yeah.
So I think you could bounce off each other pretty
yeah, I
well.
think so.
Okay, here's a question. I'm not sure if I've ever seen an interview with you where you've visibly pissed a fighter off. You know, like you've asked them a question and they've looked at you and yeah, what are you asking me that for? Sort of response. Obviously, you are interviewing people that, in everyday colloquial language, we would say are pretty hard. You know, you're interviewing boxers, the handy people. Yeah. Have you ever asked a question and you've seen a look in someone's eye and thought, maybe I've asked the wrong question there, or felt even slightly intimidated? Obviously you're a big lad yourself, but you know, you are talking to trained boxers.
I've never asked a question where I felt intimidated by their response or maybe something I've said. I may have sometimes asked something that they A, don't want to answer, B, they don't like, or C, I've got wrong.
Right.
Because that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to constantly interview boxers and know everything that's going on, because things change very quickly, and you're going to do it. You're going to get things wrong if I'm interviewing 2 boxers a week, then I should be crucified if I've got something wrong. The amount of interviews that we do, it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to keep it fresh. It's hard to keep it different. Yeah. It's hard to keep it non-repetitive, because sometimes you are sort of find yourself asking about training camps and, you know, these kind of mediocre questions that can be asked, but try not to, but sometimes you do ask about these things, and you're doing so many that there's only so many questions sometimes you can ask someone about an upcoming fight or a fight they've had. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so that's difficult, but I've never, not to my knowledge anyway, not seriously anyway, I've not, you know, people might have been messing about. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the interview I've done with Derek Chisora the other day.
With the flambe in the restaurant.
Yeah, but sat there with him, and I said to him about Tyson Fury flipping the table, and I said, this is the sort of stuff you used to do about a year ago. So he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I've seen you kiss men, I've slapped men. He said, what are you going on about kissing men? I said, well, you kissed a man, shall we say. He went, why are you saying men then? And he got, but that's just Derek's little, well, people tweeting me saying to me, oh, were you scared? I was like, it's just, it's a sketch. It's like, you know, it's like.
But yeah, no, I do remember seeing that now, and obviously Derek, especially a few years ago, had that air of unpredictability about him.
That's what I was referring to.
Maybe a few years ago when you hadn't known him as well, maybe then you would have thought, oh, wait a second. Yeah, he's a bit unpredictable, but he has calmed down, so I suppose you've got that rapport with him.
I know what I can say to boxers and what I shouldn't sometimes. And it depends on how familiar I am with them, because don't ever get too familiar or over familiar, but you know, certain things to certain fighters I would say that others who I don't know as well, or I may not, I don't know. You know, people shouldn't take everything I say to them and they don't, for face value, like for, you know, I think they know now that there could be a random question chucked in there about whatever. Yeah.
And what would you say is your sort of best interview out of all the ones you've done, the one you're most proud of?
Do you know what? It's not a boxing one. The one that I really thought, was when I interviewed Jack Wilshere. I don't know if you've seen that.
I possibly have.
I interviewed Jack Wilshere about 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And he was at a Frank Warren show. Can't remember what the bill was actually, but he was there. So I've interviewed him, and in the interview, obviously I wasn't discreet with the fact that I'm a big Arsenal fan, and I kind of said to him, do me one favour, Jack. I said, can you promise me you'll stay at Arsenal forever?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I do, I promise that. And then from that, like every national newspaper, Talk Sport, Sky, everyone took this thing.
Yeah.
Jack Wilshere pledged his future to Arsenal. And I looked into the context of that and thought, that's a huge thing to get a footballer to say in today's current climate of players moving, loyalty and all this stuff. And it's a big thing for Jack Wilshere to say. And if I hadn't done the interview and someone else had done it, I'd be equally as thingy about it. I'd be like, whoa, it's a big thing to say. Glad he said it.
Yeah.
Big thing to say. And it annoyed me because all these papers were printing these things about Wilshere says this and using that, but they weren't quoting where it come from.
So that you weren't getting accredited for it?
Not really, a couple did.
Yeah.
I think Sky Sports' app first, on the Sky Sports app on the phone,
yeah.
They put the thing in.
Yeah.
That's where I first saw it, and they put Jack Wilshere told I from London, blah blah blah, as it was called then. Anyway, so all these stories continued, and actually Jack Wilshere retweeted the interview on Twitter, which was kind of like double endorsement now.
Yeah.
He said it, and now he's like, yeah, I did say it.
Yeah.
And I rung up TalkSport and sort of had a moan, because they were talking about it on TalkSport. Andy Gray and Richard Keys were talking about it on TalkSport. So I rung them up and I'm like, they keep talking about this story. No one's saying where it come from, they're just saying that he said it.
Yeah.
So I know Richard Keys.
Right.
So I'm like, they got me on and I was like, told them how it happened. They played the interview back from the weekend. And they said, like, well done. It's like, it's pretty much impossible to get footballers now to do this sort of stuff. And,
yeah.
you know, he said it was good, someone like Wilshere to do that. So, yeah, I'd say that one, to be honest, because I'm, as you know, a massive Arsenal fan. So.
And on the back of that, I suppose I'd ask you, at the time when he retweeted it and something like that got such national exposure, did you get like a big peak in followers and sort of attention yourself? Because as we know, I mean, as much as we love boxing, compared to football in terms of numbers of followers and things, it's sort of significantly less in that way.
I can't remember. It was a good two. I think it was. Just trying to think of the dates. I think it was possibly 2.5 years ago. I don't really, to be honest, I can't remember what, you know, I know like our thing wasn't as big as it is now back then, so I can't really remember, to be honest. But yeah, it got a lot of attention, but if I got something like that now, it'd probably be more, because more people are aware of our thing, so.
Yeah. Because generally the football fan tends to, I mean, it's a bit of a generalisation, but a lot of football fans are into boxing as well. So I suppose there is the crossover appeal, isn't there?
Yeah.
Has anything else in terms of opportunities for you with, I think we were talking before about the difficulty of gaining access to Arsenal, you know, to Arsenal players, for example, Premiership footballers. Has any other opportunities arisen for you off the back of that interview with an Arsenal player or a Premiership player? Or
well, we did an interview with Aaron Ramsey actually about a few months after, and it shocks me sometimes that we've even got them two interviews, because you know how closed society, especially Premier League football, is with the top clubs, and I was surprised that they're sort of willing to talk sometimes, because you know what it is. You know, they do their stuff for Sky, and that they're part of the whole thing with the deal with Sky or BT Sport or whoever's the broadcaster. But they're not really obliged to just do, not randoms, but it is kind of random, because they don't know who we are. They don't know what is really going on and things like that, as much as you can say. So I was surprised, but yeah, we've interviewed Aaron Ramsey after that. Didn't get nothing as thing is, I will stay at Arsenal forever. But yeah, I mean, I listen. I like interviewing footballers, but it's very few and far between because it's not the sport that we're sort of focused on as regards to what we're doing.
And was there a lot of red tape to go through, i.e. you had to deal with various PR people? You know, was it a more arduous process to get the interviews and organise them as opposed to
which
boxing?
interviews are you talking about? Are you talking about with the football ones?
Yeah, with Jack.
Not really. They were both fighters were at Frank Warren shows. One was at Wembley.
Yeah.
Aaron Ramsey's one was at a Nathan Cleverley show in Wales, and it was quite. I didn't approach them myself. Mm-hmm. I got Francis Warren, actually, Frank's son, to ask them, and they were happy to do it. So that was all it was.
Right. Okay.